Are you serious? Are you serious? Are you serious? Yes, three major events taking place right now. Massive solar flare on the sun. What? Typhoon Saola just slammed into China. And Trump trial TV coming soon. All three of these are huge. Let me put a shout out right now, if I could, for noblegoldinvestment.com. That's www.noblegoldinvestment.com. Hey, you're feeling unsure about your finances these days? You're not alone. That's why Noble Gold Investments is here to help. Just hear it straight from the folks they've helped. Quote, the Noble crew walked me through everything. No stress. Another one, with their help, I can finally sleep easy at night. And now, this month, at noblegoldinvestments.com, they're handing out for free this 5 ounces of silver America the Beautiful coin. Are you serious? This thing is incredible. It's heavy. 5 ounces of pure 100%, 99, I should say, 99.9999. Pure silver coin, America the Beautiful. They're handing these things out if you qualify for an IRA. Here's what you do. Go right now to www.noblegoldinvestment.com. That's www.noblegoldinvestment.com, or pick up the phone and call them at 877-646-5347. That's 877-646-5347, and tell them that Pastor Paul Begley sent you there. Okay? Wow. Yeah, it's crazy. Last night's show, oh, what a night. Pastor Mark Biltz was with me talking about possibilities, and Mike from around the world then basically dropped the bomb. Okay. It was a great program, really. An absolute phenomenal program last night. If you haven't seen it, watch it. It's right on our YouTube channel. We're featuring it, and it's powerful. It's very powerful. Pastor Mark Biltz talking about the possibility, high probability, or I should say not probability, high possibility that this year's Rosh Hashanah, or Feast of Trumpets, could be the rapture. Could be. He's not setting dates. No way. But there's a lot of reasons that it's pointing in that direction, according to Scripture and apocalyptic signs in the heavens. And also then, of course, I interviewed Mike from around the world, and boy, he was awesome. He explains what happened in Maui. And wow. Okay, breaks this stuff down. It was a great conversation. And not just that, talk about a whole lot of things, but he breaks it down. You definitely want to watch that broadcast. It was incredible. Don't forget, Feast of Trumpets is coming September 16th. Get all of your Feast of Trumpet offerings. Send them in with your special prayer request that I'll take to the wall in Jerusalem when I go next year in 2024, Lord willing. Okay? Definitely incredible. All right, let's get right into it. Let's start with the solar flare. Massive solar flare. A long duration solar flare took place this morning, September 1st, to begin with this solar flare peaking at 0100 UT. It was a M1 class explosion from the sunspot AR 3413. It lasted for hours. This solar flare eruption lasted for hours. It was a very long duration, and it lifted a CME out of the sun's atmosphere. Fresh data from the SOHO coronagraphs are telling us that if there is an Earth-directed component, this will be catastrophic. Okay, so now what they're doing is they're scrambling to find out how much of this massive solar flare is going to hit the Earth. And it's not because of its size. It's because of the duration. M1 is big. M1 solar flare is big. It's not as big as an X class, but an M class is still big. But it's the duration. It's the length of time that the CME will be hitting us with extensive power and pressure. It could set off major earthquakes or volcanic eruptions on this planet. So we've got to stay ready, guys. We really do. We've got to stay ready. It is getting very intense. No doubt about that. And so besides that, we had this incredible typhoon. It's a super typhoon, and it crashed into China. It crashed into China, which is unbelievable, but it did. And so what did it do? Well, extensive damage. Hong Kong, it hit right into Hong Kong, closed their schools, canceled hundreds of flights as the Typhoon Saola arrives. That's how you say it, Saola. It smashes into China. Schools and businesses are closed while hundreds of flights were canceled in Hong Kong and other parts of the southern China today as Typhoon Saola swept close to the coast. And when it got to the edge of the coast, it was bringing strong winds, heavy rain, and what was a strongest storm to hit China in 5 years. It was a Category 4. It would have been the same. This typhoon would be the same as a Category 4 hurricane with sustaining winds of 140 miles an hour. The storm had already previously impacted parts of northeastern Philippines, and we didn't even talk about it, but it got much bigger. After it hit the Philippines, then before it got to Hong Kong, it accelerated, it intensified huge, as Mike Around the World has been saying is going to happen. 3 people were injured so far. This is just now happening and taken to hospitals in Hong Kong, according to the city's information service department. The Home Affairs Department opened dozens of temporary shelters. There were 7 cases of flooding, but no reports of landslides so far. Now, that don't mean just little floods. These are big, huge floods. Residents in the city began preparing for this typhoon yesterday as it approached, with many flocking to the supermarkets and stores to stock up on food and essential goods, just like we do here in America. Strong winds began picking up on Friday afternoon, with the storm expected to come to the closest to the city and to China's southern Guangdong province at night and into Saturday morning. However, the Joint Typhoon Warning Center said that the center of the storm will likely remain offshore instead of moving over land, and it will weaken after it gets on land for a while down to a Category 2. The Hong Kong Observatory issued a T10 storm warning signal today, the highest storm warning alert level you can alert, T10. I mean, catastrophic storm is approaching. Schools and most businesses have closed. The airports are closed. And the eye wall of Saola, Typhoon Saola, the ring of most intense winds that surrounds the hurricane's calm eye, is now moving across the city of Hong Kong, adding that the hurricane force winds are affecting the eastern part of Hong Kong. Saola will skirt around about 25 miles to the south of Hong Kong Observatory in the next few hours. The observatory has warned that the storm will bring heavy showers, violent winds, and cause apocalyptic storm surges with rising waters in the low-lying coastal areas. A T10 warning issued. The last time it was a typhoon back in 2018. So it's been 5 years. It killed 10 people and it hit in a more remote area. But this storm is hitting right into the city. So the question is, are people getting out of the way? Will people get out of the way? Okay. Nearly 4,000 train services in Hong Kong have been suspended yesterday, today, Saturday, and Sunday. 4 days, there will be no trains. That's 4,000 different trains won't flow. That means people will be locked down. 13 million people in Hong Kong have been told to shelter in place, stay home, don't go out. And then because if you do, your life, you're risking it. Okay, that's Hong Kong. Unbelievable. We just got hit over here in America with Idalia, and now China being hit with Typhoon Saola. And then there's a third situation, which might be the biggest explosion of all three. This may be bigger than the solar flare, massive solar flare on the sun. This may be stronger and more devastating than the Typhoon Idalia, Hurricane Idalia or Typhoon Saola, who just hit China. It's called the Trump Trial TV. According to a federal judge, the Georgia trial will be streamed live, according to the judge. This has never happened before in that courtroom. But Fulton County Judge Scott McAfee said that all court proceedings related to former President Donald J. Trump's election interference case will be streamed live for the public. McAfee also said the members of the press will be allowed to use their computers, bring in their laptops, their cell phones inside the courtroom, provided that the devices are not used to record the trial. They can stream, but they can't record, okay? Now, while federal courts largely prohibit photography and recording in the courtroom, Fulton County broadcasts judicial proceedings on its YouTube channel. But the broadcasting of the Trump proceedings will give the public an unprecedented access to what will be one of the most, if not the biggest, profile trial in American history. Earlier this month, this is bigger than O.J. Simpson. This is way bigger than O.J. Simpson. This is bigger than Charlie Manson. This trial is way huge, what they're going to do, because they're going to do it on TV. Now, earlier this month, congressional Democrats, California Congressman Adam Schiff, called the Trump federal criminal trials. He called for them to be televised. He said, quote, if the public is to fully accept the outcome, it will be virtually important for it to witness as directly as possible how this trial was conducted, the strength of the evidence that will be presented, and the credibility of the witnesses, according to Adam Schiff. And he had 37 members of a caucus, a Democrat caucus, wrote in a letter to Judge Rosalind Moskoff, who heads the administrative offices of the United States Court. The letter was released within hours of Trump's arraignment in Washington, D.C., where the former president pleaded not guilty to 4 charges related to his alleged efforts to overturn the 2020 presidential election. Trump, the current Republican presidential frontrunner, is facing now 13 felony counts, including racketeering, soliciting false statements, and criminal conspiracy. He pleaded not guilty yesterday and will be arraigned September the 6th. This trial, we don't know when this trial will start. This is the Georgia trial. And also, what we found out was this. Trump has been very cagey in his response of the questions of whether he wants cameras in the upcoming trial in Georgia. Now, in New York City, in the Manhattan case, where he's accused of filing false business records, the former President Trump lawyers opposed a request from media outlets in April to allow cameras in court. But another of Trump's lawyers, John Luro, said earlier this month that cameras in court would be fine. Quote, I personally would love to see that, Luro, Trump's attorney, said in a Fox News interview, adding, I'm convinced the Biden administration does not want the American people to see Trump trial TV. So it's coming soon, and this will be the biggest trial. Now, I mean, you got the Manhattan trial. You've got the January 6th trial in Washington, D.C. You've got the taking of unclassified, allegedly, all this is allegedly, of documents that in the raid in Mar-a-Lago. That trial will be in Miami, Florida. And then you have now the Georgia election interference trial. and that one in Atlanta, Georgia. So we're talking New York, Washington, D.C., Miami, and Atlanta. 4 trials. He also has two trials that are liability trials, also, of which he'll probably just settle those. But these 4 are criminal trials, and these are huge. And now that for sure there will be television cameras in the courtroom, Trump trial TV will be the highest rated broadcasting of anything maybe ever. I'm going to say that it's very possible that there'll be times when the maybe in the opening ceremonies or the opening arguments, not sure, we'll see ratings as high as a Super Bowl. And I say that if there's a conviction, or the day of the when the jury comes back with the verdict and everybody waits to see what that is, I would definitely say that would be TV ratings higher than any Super Bowl, which holds the records. This is it, because this is the biggest thing happening. When you start talking about when there's never been a former president indicted for anything, whether there was things done right or wrong, you just don't do it, because it just tears down the fabric of a democracy, or in our case, a republic. We're not a democracy. We're a republic here in America. But this right here may tear the nation in half. This may just tear the nation in half. And this might be where the stone steps truly are finally fulfilled of that dream. I hope not. Anyway, this is what's going on here. This is the situation. So now I'm going to be interviewing do you guys remember the lady when the snake fell out of the sky and landed on her arm, and then the snake started wrapping around her arm, and then a hawk come in and grabbed the snake and clawed it away and jerked it away from the woman, damaging her arm, where she'd be in the hospital. Do you remember that story? It happened about 3 weeks ago? Well, the lady that this happened to, she's from Texas. This happened in Texas. I'm going to interview her live, and you can watch the interview right here on YouTube at 2 p.m. Eastern. So I'll be back in 2 hours interviewing her. That's right. Let me just give you her full name. First name's Peggy, but let's just lady with snake hawk. Okay. Give me 1 second, everybody. I mean, this was incredible. Peggy Jones, okay? Peggy Jones of Texas. And of course, you guys may not have heard, but it was in July. She was doing some lawn work with her husband, and she said it was unbelievable what happened to her, but a snake fell out of the sky, wrapped its body around her arm, and then a hawk swooped in, and the two animals battled it out. The snake and the hawk fought with each other while on Peggy Jones's arm. And Jones says the freak incident happened on July 25th while they were out mowing grass on their property. Finally, the hawk tore the snake away, but this left her arm injured. She had to put it in a sling, and she had to go to the hospital. Now, that lady's name is Peggy Jones, and I'm going to be interviewing her on a special interview live at 2 p.m. Eastern. Whoa. 2 p.m. Eastern. So be sure, let people know she's a Christian. Let people know it's a fascinating situation, and we don't want you to miss it. That's at 2 p.m. today. Then I have the privilege of doing an interview. I'll do it live right here on YouTube with Dr. Avita King, the niece of Reverend Martin Luther King. You've seen Avita King, I think, pretty well everywhere. She has her own ministry. She has been an activist for the unborn. She's just a great Christian. She's part of the American Bible Council, where they're trying to put the Bible in high schools. She's a part of that, and just an incredible lady. And so I'm going to interview her today at 4 p.m. Eastern. What? Yes. So at 2 p.m. Eastern, it's Peggy Jones, who had a snake fall on her out of the sky, and then she's attacked by a hawk. And then at 4 p.m., it's Dr. Avita King. And I'm going to interview her. Why? The question is, Rain, cry, why? Because this is the 60th anniversary, just a few days ago, of the great I Have a Dream speech by her uncle, Dr. Martin Luther King. And we want to talk about all the good things that Dr. Avita King is doing. She's doing some great things, guys, great things for people across this nation. So I'm having a very historic privilege to get to interview her this afternoon, and you can watch it live at 4 o'clock. So 2 p.m., Peggy Jones, 4 p.m., Dr. Avita King. Both of those interviews live this afternoon right here on this YouTube channel and at my website at paulbegleyprophecy.com. I'll be back at 2 o'clock. God bless all of you. I'm serious. Don't forget about the Feast of Trumpets. Be sure, look, we're just 2 weeks away because on 2 weeks from now on a Friday, as the sun is setting, it will be the start of Rosh Hashanah, the Jewish New Year, and the blowing of the trumpets, the Feast of Trumpets. Wow. And if you watched the interview last night with Mark Biltz, it is a high, what he calls a high rapture alert day possibility. Only the Lord knows when Jesus is coming back. I don't have a clue. But I will say this, you can see the day approaching. Look at all the stuff that's going on in the world. Yeah. I know. I wonder what kind of snake it was, too. I mean, first of all, the hawk had to have grabbed the snake and was flying with it and then dropped it. And it just so happened to land on this lady. What's the odds? And the snake hits the lady, and when it hits her, it just wraps itself around her arm. While she's fighting with the snake to get it off, a hawk comes and grabs the snake. And then the snake and the hawk are fighting a death battle while wrapped around the woman's arm. And of course, she's suffering injuries from it. We'll find out more about that. Don't miss that interview at 2 o'clock. So I'll see you guys at 2 p.m. and 4 p.m. So you're not going to get notified. You already know. You're not going to get notified. So this is your notification. So be ready. We'll see you at 2 o'clock. God bless. I would love to notify you. I want everyone to be notified. For some reason, the algorithms don't. I don't know. Are you saved?